We're going to talk some Broncos Colts, and in a couple of minutes we'll be joined by Broncos tight end Jacob Tannen.
That's great.
So, do you like this matchup? I mean, do you like this for the Broncos?
Yes, it was. That's why I was getting into it earlier. That not only did I want Baltimore to win, because I think Baltimore has a better chance than New England or Pittsburgh going to New England and winning. I just don't like that matchup as much.
And Baltimore's been there and done that.
And I also wanted, and people say, "What are you a fan of?" Me. I'm a fan of me. What I want to happen, and what I wanted to happen was the Colts to come to Denver. I wanted it to happen last year, and the Colts kind of messed it up by losing, as you know. And so I wanted this matchup. Plus, I think it's a great matchup for the Broncos. And as we talk about it, I'll say more, but I don't think the Colts are very good.
No, I don't either. I'm with you.
Against Cincinnati yesterday. Cincinnati's a team, you and I talked about it constantly, up and down and up and down. They're not any good in the playoffs. Dalton was terrible.
Well, there's a reason we call them the Bungles and not the Bengals.
Yeah.
They find a way to bungle it up every year.
But the Colts, I thought, were more impressive than they really are. Does that make sense?
They played a bad team. And they played a team without two of its best offensive weapons in Cincinnati.
And the response to people to what we've just said is the Bengals beat the Broncos on Monday night a couple of weeks ago. Throw that one away.
Yeah.
That was in there.
You know what that game was like? That was like the Thursday night game San Diego here last year.
You also,
when the Broncos didn't come ready to play.
You also know that I told you that game meant nothing. It didn't change anything, did it? Did it change anything? I kept saying that, and you went, "Oh no, things could happen. New England
No,
could
it
lose."
didn't change anything.
No, they were the number 2 seed going in. They were the number 2 seed coming out. It didn't matter, and that's why I try to not only be entertaining to people on this show and on ESPN on Around the Horn. I want to be informative. I want to be educational. I want people to learn something from here.
Woody. You were entertaining and you were highly informational, so congratulations.
In journalism school, they taught me, and I'm sure they did you. You entertain, you inform, and you educate.
Yes.
And that's what I try to do. The 3 things I try to do on this show.
We try and hit at least one of those 3 every day.
And 4 is make my dunk.
Make your what?
Dunk.
Oh, I thought you said something else. Hey, Davidson's Liquors, one of our sponsors, and want to tell you about Davidson's Liquors' new user-friendly website. Customers will experience vastly improved product searching, easy checkout, and you can choose convenient in-store pickup, or, get this, you can have items shipped directly to you. Log on to davidsonsdenver.com and experience the Davidsons difference. All right, so I think we both like this matchup. There's one thing that scares me, and one thing only, and it's the quarterback. He's done a phenomenal job adapting to a really not so great supporting cast.
Well,
I mean, he's made the guys around him better. They don't have much of a run game. The offensive line has been sketchy all year long. Reggie Wayne has not been the receiver he's been in the past, although T.Y. Hilton and Kobe Fleener have been fairly reliable. The defense is middle of the road in just about every category. So this team is staying afloat. And this team is 11-5 the last 3 years because of one guy, because of Andrew Luck. This team is not ready to have a long run in the playoffs, to win any trophies, nothing. And they outside of the quarterback, they don't really concern me all that much.
I think they're doing about as well as they could.
I agree.
Given the talent level there, and you touched upon it, they have no running game. Trent Richardson, who they got last year from Cleveland.
He's a bust.
Because he was a bust there. He called in sick on Friday. Hello, you're in the playoffs. You call in sick, and he didn't even factor in the game. Reggie Wayne, he didn't even show up in the game with a pass reception until the 4th quarter?
He hasn't shown up a lot this year.
It was like a standing ovation. Where are you, Reggie Wayne? And he was, I'll put it that way, he was one of the greatest receivers and maybe the second best receiver that Peyton Manning ever had in his life. Marvin Harrison.
Marvin Harrison. Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to go there.
I'm not including
the
the Broncos.
Yeah.
Well, I think that Demaryius Thomas will end up being the best one he ever has.
I agree.
And Demaryius will be back. We're not so sure about the other Thomas, but maybe we're doubting Thomases if that goes.
At least one of them.
Yeah, but you brought it up. Running game, had a fumble. They had no yardage. Broncos number 2 against the rush. So the Broncos really have to concern themselves defensively
with one guy.
One thing.
Yeah.
Because as much as I like Hilton, nice receiver.
Yeah.
But not world class. No,
he's a second
and
tier.
you bring up the tight end.
Kobe
He's been
Fleener.
around 3 years. Man, nice player. They're both nice players. They're good players.
Yeah.
Not great players. I mean, Jacob Tamme, when he was there, was a better tight end than Fleener is, I think. And he's a backup here, a special teams player. Defensively, you pinpointed it, mediocre. Not great, not terrible.
Yeah,
but
just middle of the pack.
They've given up a lot of points. What they did do against Cincinnati was cut back on their turnovers, because what's happened is that has been their nemesis for the last 5 or 6 games. The interceptions thrown by Luck and the fumbles, and I think that Luck, because the Broncos will be able to stack an extra defensive back in there, that the Broncos could get 2 or 3 interceptions. Noted by what we've seen in the past with the Broncos, if they don't turn the ball over and they make the Colts turn the ball over, this could be an easy game for them.
There are going to be a lot of people who look at that first game. It was the regular season opener here, Broncos and Colts, and they're going to look at the score. It was a 7-point Bronco win, 31-24, and they're going to say, oh, the Colts made that one scary. This is going to be a close game. I think you have to look really closely at how that game played out, and then you have to look at how different these two teams are, specifically the Broncos, from that first game. First of all, we both remember that first game very, very well. Broncos shot out to a 24-0 lead.
Well, speak for yourself. I'm older. And
So Broncos shot out to a 24-0 lead. Julius Thomas, 3 touchdown catches in the first half. And really the only
he
reason
needs to be a factor again. He's sort of disappeared.
well, hopefully he's
into the
gotten
woodwork.
healthy over these last few
sure,
weeks.
yeah.
I'm sure the bye helped him like it did so many other Broncos. But the game really wasn't as close as a 7-point game.
Let's be a little specific here if we
okay.
can. Bradley Roby makes a big play on a 4th down to knock down a pass.
Right.
But what's kind of forgotten about that is that they still hadn't scored. I mean, that wasn't a scoring play. They're still going to have to get in. And the Broncos defense, even at that time, was good in the red zone. And so I'm not so certain that they would score, and they needed more than a field goal. They're 7 points behind. And I thought the Broncos kind of relaxed and played more of a defensive defense.
I agree, yeah.
Because the Broncos were well ahead. And it's one of those things where there was some garbage time points as far as I'm concerned. So to me, to judge that game, and you said it earlier, I don't know that you can judge that game because the Broncos have changed their personality.
Well, yeah, and let me list some of the ways they've changed. Monte Ball was the featured running back. Not anymore. Monte Ball's not around. It's C.J. Anderson. The offensive line, 3/5 of the offensive line has changed for the Broncos. The whole right side and the center.
Can I stop you there for a second?
Yeah, sure.
I feel bad in thinking about this over the holidays. Vasquez was all-pro at guard.
He was phenomenal last year.
He has sacrificed himself.
Yes.
Moving out to tackle, he didn't get a sniff in the pro. He got like 1 or 2 votes from on an all-pro team, but
Yeah.
he didn't get a sniff to be in the Pro Bowl this year. He's a Pro Bowl player. And at right tackle, he's really solidified that outside where Chris Clark couldn't do it. They brought in Kornick. It just didn't work. But he, as Adam Gase told me, he really did sacrifice himself. But he's such a good teammate and a good team player that he was willing to do that. And I think that putting Ramirez out of center, more so than putting him at right guard, has really made a difference. They put a veteran in there at center. So, yes, you're right.
Yeah, and here's some other differences. They're now a running team more than a passing team. At least they have been. Julius Thomas was healthy then, not so healthy now. We'll see. Wes Welker did not play in that game, and they had trouble converting 3rd downs that game because Peyton relies on Wes Welker on 3rd down. He was serving a 4-game suspension at the time. And let's also remember that was the first time that this revamped defense was playing together. First game of the regular season, And John Elway added a lot of pieces to that defense. Andrew Luck picked on a rookie named Roby for the first 3 quarters. He threw at him a lot. Roby came up with a big play or two in the 4th quarter. So a lot of things have changed since then.
Sure. Let's go with your last one to begin with. Chris Harris Jr. developed a lot more confidence.
Oh, yeah.
After
Coming
his
off an
knee
ACL.
injury and became a Pro Bowler.
Von Miller.
Bradley Roby moved inside the slot to a slot guy, so he's in during nickel coverage and dime coverage when they do go to that. Von Miller's game has come back to the extent that he was before he got into all the trouble, and his game suffered mightily. I think during the course of the season, Terrence Knighton has become more of a leader of that defense, and we're going to discuss later my column that I wrote about that. But I think the defense, from the first game of the season to this point, that defense has gone hell's bells as far as I'm concerned, because Jack Del Rio also has just amped up the pass rush, particularly from the blitzing standpoint.